Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Beginner's Guide to Gamification, episode number 17. I'm Yukai Chou and I'm here to help you go from Gamification Beginner to Gamification Master. Today we're going to talk about the 8th core drive, which is the final core drive of Octalysis gamification.
Loss and avoidance.
Loss and avoidance is pretty straightforward. You're motivated because they want to avoid a loss. They won't want bad things to happen. Loss and avoidance is one of the most powerful core drives in Octalysis because it deals with such an ingrained part of us.
Motivational psychology shows us that people are actually willing to do more to avoid loss and actually to obtain a gain.
Hello, how's it going, sir? You are fun. Thank you. You see the loss and avoidance core drive in action a lot when it comes to investing or playing poker. Sometimes you're 100% sure that the person across the table has your hand beat. But you have a lot of money on the table. So you push all your money in and voila, as you expected, the other guy has your hand beat. And instead of losing half your money, you lost all your money.
I knew he had a bigger hand, but there was so much money on the table. So I put all my money on it and he had a bigger hand.
Very irrational behaviors, but driven by the core drive loss and avoidance. A similar example involves investing, right? Let's say you invested big numbers, $1 billion into a company. And then 5 years later, it says, oh, we ran out of money and we haven't done anything. We need 500 million more to stay alive. Usually, if you just met them there, right, you would not want to invest because they kind of suck now. But because you already have $1 billion in the company, you want to save that money. You want to avoid losing that $1 billion. So what people do is irrationally, they put another $500 million into the company to try to save their $1 billion. And oftentimes it doesn't work out as much because, they're still just not that great.
I knew the company sucked, but I put in $1 billion. So to save that, I put in another $1 billion and they sucked. I lost all my money.
You just have to recognize the sunk cost, right? The wise thing is to give it up. But you want to avoid losing your stuff, so again, you're doing things that are irrational. So companies like Zynga has really mastered how to utilize the loss and avoidance core drive. For instance, in Farmville, when you don't come back to harvest your crop within, let's say, 8 hours, it shows you very uninspiring images of your crop dying, yellowing out, and you actually have to click on them one at a time to clean them up. And it's just such a depressing, sad feeling that it trains the user to say like, okay, next time I do not want to miss this schedule. I will be back by this time. And what's crazy about that is sometimes my mother needs to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning so that she can harvest her crops. Or if she goes out of town, she has to call my cousin and say, hey, I'm going out of town. Can you go onto my Farmville account and help me harvest the crops? And that just kind of doesn't make any sense to me because, well, it does because this is my profession, but it kind of doesn't make sense in general because, usually you go to play games because you want to escape from responsibilities, right? Escapism, relax. But some games make you feel like there's an additional layer of responsibilities that you have to keep playing or else you will face up consequences. Sometimes the loss and avoidance core drive can just be stimulated by a change of language. Instead of saying, hey, register for an account and you will immediately get 100 points, it's better to tell your potential users that, hey, you have 100 points now. Create an account to make sure you don't lose them. When they think they already have something and they are about to lose it if they don't take action, they are more likely to move forward. And I'm sure you've seen that type of strategy be implemented before.
An evanescent opportunity is one that disappears in a very short time if a user does not respond immediately.
So sometimes in a game, when you see this boss-like monster appear, and you know that if you beat this boss, if you kill this boss, amazing rewards will drop out. But except the boss is walking away from you and within 10 seconds he'll disappear. You feel strongly motivated to go and attack the boss. And you can think of a treasure goblin, for instance, Diablo 3. And so in the real world, sometimes when there's an opportunity present in front of you, maybe you don't even care about the opportunity, but because you know if you don't take advantage of it, it's going to disappear forever, you take the action anyway because you're afraid you might regret it, because you'll never have a chance to take advantage of it again, and therefore you're motivated by loss and avoidance. Another small example of the core drive loss and avoidance is coupons. So sometimes you'll get in the mail that says, hey, here's a coupon, 10% off for Subway, for instance, right? And it says it expires on February 27th. And sometimes as a fact that even if February 27th, went by, you'll get an exact same coupon in the mail the next month that expires March 27th, right? But because it says that it expires February 27th, you feel like you'll be losing something. You'll be losing an opportunity if you don't redeem it. And therefore, you have a little bit more motivation to go and use that coupon before February 27th. Obviously, it doesn't change every behavior, but everything about gamification, nothing's a silver bullet. Nothing makes everyone do something. But, all these little techniques pushes people towards the right direction, moves the needle a little bit more. It makes it more engaging, more fun for people. And this connects to something we call FOMO, fear of missing out. If you take action, you might lose something, you might fail, right? And that's the fear. But one of the ways to motivate people is to make them feel like if they don't take action, if they don't do anything, they're actually losing even more. Another game technique that I see a lot is what I call the scarlet letter, which is basically saying if the user does not take the desired action or fails in the desired action, they will look bad in front of all their peers. And so they don't want to look back, they don't want to have that scarlet letter, so they take action. As the 8th and final core drive in Black Hat gamification, loss and avoidance is one of the most powerful techniques out there, but it also leaves the worst taste in your mouth when it drives your activities.
I knew if I tried it, I'll get sucked into all these black hat gamification techniques and it will become so addictive. But I tried it and I got addicted. I told you not to try it. I told you not to try it because all of the black gamification are addicting stuff. Yeah, man, I should have listened to you. I love you, man. I love you. I love you too.
One of the most treacherous and heartbreaking game techniques in the 8th core drive, loss and avoidance, is what I call the sunk cost tragedy. And this is when, for instance, you're playing a game and you've been playing it for months and months and months and it's no longer fun anymore, but you just can't quit because you feel like, because if you quit, you'll have to give up all the things that you accumulate in the game, your level, your virtual currency, all this stuff, right? And you have to face the feeling of loss that you just kind of lost all your thousands of hours of investment in the game, and that loss is painful. You don't want to face that. It's just a whole abyss of emptiness. And so as a result, you don't want to quit. You could choose to feel that, or you could choose to use all that powerful level, virtual goods, use your money and all that stuff and be more awesome in the game, right? And as a result, you don't quit and you play more and more, which builds up more sunk costs that feels painful to give up. And eventually it gets really, really hard to let go. And this is what a lot of people see in, for instance, the game Farmville, right? Quick note here, which we'll cover a bit later, is this heavily delves into the concept of how you design your end game and whether you use black hat or white hat gamification, because this happens more often when there is a lot of black hat gamification involved. So the way to break out of this sunk cost tragedy is thinking big enough. So when I was really addicted to, let's say, Diablo 2, the way I could quit from it was to think big enough, thinking that, hey, when I'm 70 years old, I'm definitely not playing Diablo 2. So if I'm not doing that when I'm 70, why do it when I'm 40? Then why 20, right? Then why next year? Why now? So when you think big enough about your life, about what you would be giving up instead if you do not quit this game that you no longer enjoy, that's when you're finally able to break out of that sunk cost tragedy, to weigh it against something much bigger. Yep, thanks. Oh, hello. Sometimes in your product, you want to think about, are you building something for the user that they could lose, that they want to keep? It's like, it's really, really hard to quit Facebook these days, because even if there's a better social network out there, your friends are all on Facebook, your records, your photos are all on Facebook, and all the virtual goods, virtual currencies you accumulate into these virtual games are on Facebook, right? So it's really, really hard to quit Facebook and move on, even if you don't want to. On the other hand, some tools, let's say a search engine, right? A search engine has less of that. When a search engine no longer is the best tool out in the market, it's so easy for anyone to say, all right, today I'm just going to use another search engine, and that search engine's revenue could completely plummet, because there's really nothing to lose when you switch search engines, because it's a tool that has more of it. Of course, search engines these days, they're all about personalized search, figuring out your preferences and all that stuff. So they are also working on building towards the 8th core drive, loss and avoidance.
And this concludes the Beginner's Guide to Gamification, episode number 17.
This is Chou, and I will see you guys next time.
What are you talking about?
Oh, you should cry. You should show the extremes of emotion.
You should have seen me. You see, that suck-ass guy.